Welcome to my site, everybody. My name is Paul Smyers. I'm a practicing real estate agent in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, and I specialize in rural property. And today I want to talk a little bit about how to inspect a house or a property that you might be interested in making an offer on. We all know that we must get an actually formal inspection of a property to safeguard our interests. But when you first evaluate a property, just like us agents, we go to a property to list the property, and we have to kind of get a clear idea of what may be needed in that property and the condition it's in and so on. And there's a lot to know. So let's walk through it a little bit here. First of all, you're looking for the most expensive things at first. You go from a high priority list down to a less priority. For example, you want to look at what we call the mechanicals, your plumbing, your water heater, your air conditioning unit or heater, your oil furnace or what kind of furnace you may have. All that kind of stuff that's functionality that if it fails, you have problems like a sump pump or something like that. So you have to evaluate those kind of things. If they're all functioning, if the home has been functioning nicely for a while and someone's been living there and it's all, it may be older units, like there's furnaces that are a little older, water heaters that are a little older, but it doesn't mean that you need to replace them right away. But it's something to take notes, and that's another thing. Go around the property and take notes for yourself. And if you have any questions about something, that maybe is above your level of understanding, like foundations or something, just make a few notes. Say, is this a problem or not? Okay? And then there's certain kinds of problems that you might want to look for regarding the foundation. There's different kinds of foundations. I've talked about some of these things in other of my videos, but you want to know that there's basically a sound level foundation. It sounds kind of funny sometimes, but there are homes that slowly sag and there's decay on the foundation walls and so on. So you kind of want to look for that for sure. Now, a foundation issue is much more difficult to solve than, say, a roof. A lot of roofs get replaced. You can have roofs like a tin roof on my place here. It'll last for a long, long time. It's 80 years old. It's still the same roof. But you have the shingle roofs and those kind of things. They typically will need to be replaced every so often. It's quite long intervals. Sometimes there's storm damage and ice and things like that. So you want to look around the roof, everywhere around the edges and the gutters. Now, gutters, a lot of times people have cluttered up and clogged gutters and they don't even realize it. They never had it done. And then little by little, they forget about it. The gutters are clogged, and then all kinds of problems happen that you don't want to know about. You don't want to have that happen because if the gutters are clogged, then the drainage doesn't go away from the house. A lot of times they just overflow and come down the foundation wall, and if it's in a basement, it might start leaking and so on. Now, another thing you got to think about when you walk around a property is the landscaping. So we want to have a property that has beautiful landscaping and so on. And there are properties that have not been attended to for a long time. Maybe once upon a time they had beautiful, beautiful gardens and all these fancy exotic bushes and so on. But someone hasn't maintained it, and little by little, it's going to be a nightmare unless you're a professional gardener to have all the trimmings and all the hedges done and everything. It can be very difficult to maintain a very complex landscaping type of thing with rock gardens and all that. So just keep that in mind. Another thing is that when you have like a vegetable garden, sometimes people have had a garden with a fence around it in a while and it just kind of slowly decayed, the fencing is falling down. Those kind of things you can fix. But just keep that in mind. It's going to take some time to, clean the gutters and do all the cosmetic work on your landscaping. Now, another problem that people find is that sometimes bushes are planted next to the foundation of a house. If it's a basement situation, maybe a cinder block wall, you have bushes that produce roots that go down into the soil, and after a while they get kind of cluttered, and there's bushes that get a lot of roots down there, and they can affect the foundation wall. So that's something to be careful of because if you buy a house that has all these bushes overgrown right next to the foundation wall, you're going to have a problem. You definitely want to start thinking about what it's going to cost to get rid of that. So let's go into some of the other things. You want to look at the fuse box or the circuit breaker box just to make sure how much of a capacity it has, if it has enough for the house. Take a look around at the wiring, wherever you see it, various kinds of plumbing. If you see any leaks or something, or if you find some place in a room that maybe there was a leak once upon a time and then it damaged the carpet or something, just look around for those subtle cues that property has had some damage of some kind. So a preliminary inspection just kind of gives you an idea, is it worth making an offer on this property or not? And if it is a no deal, like a basement problem, a foundation problem, that's maybe a no deal. But at the same time, if you have some of these other minor things that you can address, as long as you keep in mind the cost of it, you can make a confident offer on something that has an issue with something, okay? It's not a big... Where are you going to find an absolutely perfect house? Maybe a brand new house. I have looked at some brand new houses or houses that are recent construction, last 10, 15 years, and I am shocked sometimes that neighborhoods that are high-end houses, and you look in the basement and you look up there and think, oh my, they just did not finish down here. It's just a mess. And if they did that down here, imagine what the rest of it is hidden behind those walls. Stuff you can't even see, just poor craftsmanship and so on. So you think about the overall quality of a house in general. It's going to require some maintenance. Now, what you do, if you buy a brand new house, you got to start saving some money for some of the things that can happen. And frankly, some of the new construction is not nearly as good as the old construction. If you find an older house that's basically solid, has a great foundation, nice and level and everything, and nice beams and 2x4s or maybe 6-inch walls and something, then you can bid, okay, this is a really good house. Don't worry about the small things that you might have to do, trimming some trees or bushes or things like that. You can still bid on a house that has some needs, but just understand what you're getting into. And by all means, when you do make an offer, make it conditional on an inspection, because you certainly want to know. You can put all kinds of criteria in. We don't want to get into all that right now, but when you make an offer, you can put some conditions in there that say, look, if I find termites, it's no deal, for example. So I appreciate people watching. I make a lot of other videos and content. I hope you enjoy them. And I like and share other people's content. So hope to see you in some of my other videos. Thanks again.